Roll call.
Ken Talbot.
Here.
Alan Easley.
Here.
Ann Deering.
Yeah.
Helen Glass.
Here.
Jay Craddock.
Here.
Ron Merritt.
Yeah.
Carol Gaines.
Here.
Thank you. In your package, you have the agenda for tonight. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? If not, do I hear a motion that be approved as read?
So move.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Thank you. You also have the minutes of the meeting in March. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Not to hear a motion that be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Old business. Oh, everybody.
Who's recording? Mr. Chairman, I got these letters. I don't know if it's old business or new business.
Let's address that now.
Okay. I got 7 letters from the residents of Keeling about the Red Oak Hollow RTV trail, complaining about not meeting the conditions and also noise. So I can turn them over to Karen, I guess.
Yeah, I think all of us have received one or more letters from the community down there.
Yeah.
And just to review, the process as it stands right now, and there's no change planned that I'm aware of, but if the zoning administrator determines that they're not in compliance, then the zoning administrator will call a public hearing and we'll hear the proposal that the permit be revoked for non-compliance with the conditions. Now, I've talked to Karen about this, and as far as Red Oak Hollow, a lot of effort has been expended by her and by the Sheriff's Department and others. Can you tell us what you've gone through?
So we have received these same letters, or at least some of them, and the Sheriff's Department has been out to the Harris's property. They have the decimal reader, so they have read the decimals from the Harris's property. It is within what is allowed by the ordinance. It was approximately around 10 decimals below what is allowed by the ordinance on their property. We have spoken with Mr. Shelton. I have personally spoken with Mr. Shelton. He did have one section of trail that was within his 300-foot buffer from the property line. He has since moved that. That is closed, so you cannot ride on that section of trail anymore. And we have notified him that if the conditions are not being met, that we will begin the process to revoke his special use permit. Karen has ridden out after 8 o'clock when they're supposed to be closed. It was not long after 8. Everything was locked up, lights off. There was nobody in sight. Without proof that these conditions are not being met, we cannot start that process. We have to have documented proof. I also have to notify him in writing that the conditions are not being met and give him an opportunity to correct those conditions. So until we have we can either have decimal readings that are above what is allowed by the noise ordinance. We have proof that he's operating after hours, which would involve us catching him doing it, and so far we have not been able to. Or have proof that some of these other conditions are not being met. Our hands are tied. So we are actively investigating all complaints that we receive. I know that the letters that we got spoke that the noise is excessive on their properties coming from this property. So I'm going to get with the Sheriff's Department and have him try to contact these property owners so that he can set up on their property during peak times to read the decimals to see if it is excessive and if there is anything that we can do. But right now, we haven't been able to prove that he is doing anything that's in violation of the conditions that were set forth. Oh, yeah, and we will, we are gonna contact him and have him mark his 300-foot setback from the property line, just to ensure that none of his trails are within that setback. But I know that there was one, and he has since closed that section.
And I apologize, I didn't introduce Emily, at the new zoning administrator. All right, so I myself was still addressing Karen, I apologize.
That's okay.
Well, it was my understanding that when we put conditions on a permit, that we depend on the public to police that because we don't have the staff and, or whatever. Is that, am I right in saying that?
Enforcement doesn't have a huge staff.
Yeah. So in those letters, you'll find a comment that this past Saturday night, they were running at 10 o'clock.
We would need documented
So
evidence.
what-
Pictures, things like that. Because what will likely happen is we'll revoke his special use permit. He will then appeal it, and we will end up in court. So if we do not have documented evidence that he is not meeting his conditions, they'll reinstate his special use permit. We don't want that to happen if we get to the point where we're going to revoke it. And you can step in whenever you, there's anything else you'd like to add, but.
Those are always tricky in terms of proof, but recordings, pictures, would be more helpful. Your testimony will be admissible. Vouchers becomes, if it's been rented since then, that will really help us. So noise, noise issues are difficult just because fixed it, usually not here. But the more the document, the better. But obviously, the testimony will be
Yeah, they definitely need to use that meter, particularly on the Owen property, because he's within where they have a mud bog and they rail those things up to get through the mud.
Is that
And-
Pine
Well, no, we
Lane?
made sure that because of the proximity of Pine Lane, that they're really talking about the other college, not.
Oh, yeah.
not-
Oh,
Pine Lane is other college, similar to the
yeah.
You talking about that little pole?
Yeah, it's near the property line of the Tana Owens
So
land.
you know about a mud block on the other college?
It's a-
Oh, yeah. Well,
It's
not
a
mud-
bowl.
It's
Yeah.
but they ram up, and there's several things in there. And I mean, personally, I've seen them go by my house with those mufflers sticking up out of the top of them, modified mufflers and everything. I mean, I'll take a picture of one. I'd be glad to. I mean, because they run by my house to get to Riddle College.
Yeah, there's snorkels,
So
so.
it's really a problem, a real problem.
Well, cell phone pictures today are time and date stamped, and you can also have a GPS stamp too.
Yeah.
The time and location is
That-
documented, you're able to catch them. And I know they did posting stuff on Facebook, that self-incriminating.
Yeah.
I don't follow any Facebook site, I haven't seen them set up. I've received pictures from Facebook that somebody maybe so as far as advice to the board, and I hate to do this immediately, but you really need to direct them, because the first step is for them to be convinced, okay, they're not in compliance. And if you try to bring them into compliance, and if she finds that they're not, then that's when the revocation process will begin. Board, we're not charged with enforcement. It has to go through that.
I understand that, but on any given day, there's going to be a different circumstance. If they know, which they have, somehow they have connections, they know that the sheriff's showing up, things get mighty quiet. And so, I mean, they're going to have to do more than one time down there and figure out if something's going on.
Well, I'm sure they're using the radio.
Oh, they are.
NRS to communicate, sound the alert. Quiet. But I understand the conditions, he does have to post the hours of operation, factory mufflers only. So, I know the neighbors don't want to hear this, but we just have to, I think the conditions are reasonable and if he met the conditions, although they probably still wouldn't like them, they could probably wouldn't waste the use. He would be legal, and I think we did a good job of protecting him.
Yeah.
If he complies with those conditions.
Actually, the night I went down there, it was some other ATVs riding in another field. It wasn't Pine Lane, it wasn't Red Oak, it was in just a farm field. So it's hard, we have to prove that he is operating.
I asked Ronald for something in the water and heating that's attractive to the pool.
Unfortunately, it must be, it's a problem.
Any other old business? New business. Any new business?
The cases for next month are 2 special uses for single-wide mobile homes, 1 special use permit for a beauty shop, and 1 special use permit for solar.
Where's this one sold?
Is that Monroe? Yes.
Where?
It's Monroe. Where is that?
It's what, not really bad,
There's so many of them, they're all
We've had
tied
them.
together.
well, there's not a lot of sites, and I haven't seen any construction. They said it'd be a long process for them to get everything in place before they start.
Put up
That's
the
one of the
totals, we should call it overall job, whatever,
Okay.
That's a city, right? City example, right?
It's tight squeeze right now.
The city was doing the one at Compost.
They are.
But it's still in the county.
Yeah.
Right, but I think the city was going to get that power. This one,
Well, if they get it on transmission line, okay. Chair has nothing to report. So, that said, we'll proceed to public hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pittsylvania County zoning ordinance, we, the Board of Zoning Appeals, have been empowered to hear and decide specific applications and appeals in support of said ordinance. In accomplishing this important task, we are charged with promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. We must ensure that all our decisions and recommendations be directed to these goals and each be consistent with the environment, comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and its posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board other than the applicant regarding the zoning case will be limited to 3 minutes. You have it. Sign up. Whoops.
No one signed up.
No one signed up.
No one? Okay. All right, so the public hearing in case S-20-004 is now open. Time is 7:16. Report.
Case S-20-004, J.D. Compton has petitioned for a special use permit on .63 acres located off of Highway 360 on Chickadee Road in the Dane River Election District for sales, service, and repair of automobiles, trucks, recreational vehicles, and motorcycles. The Planning Commission recommended by a 6-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet, and Mr. Chairman, Mr. Compton is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Compton, would you like to say something in support of your application?
No, sir, I don't have anything to say, but if you,
Come on up.
if anybody's got any questions,
I'll be glad to answer them.
Question? Just to confirm, this is for the .63 acres.
Yes, sir.
All right, I know we're going to ask some questions when we get into the meat of the discussion, so we'll.
Okay.
All right. No one signed up. Is there anyone that would like to address the board? Now we'll close the public hearing at 7:18. So, the applicant wants the application to speak for itself. Being special use, we're obligated to identify adverse effects on adjacent property and mitigate those adverse effects when possible, and mitigate them through conditions, then we're obligated to issue a permit. If there are any conditions that can't be mitigated, of course, we're obligated not to issue a permit. So the first step in this process is to try to identify any adverse effects that automobile dealership would have at this location.
I'm sorry, I should have asked Mr. Compton when he was up here. If you could, give us just a brief description of
Sure.
what you plan to do.
No problem. The Division of Motor Vehicles requires that I go through zoning to have an office at this location. This location will simply be an office, a place to store files. The DMV lady comes by, what would you say, Mr. Young, maybe once a year or once every 2 years? I had one that didn't come by for 8 years, so I mean, you know, I can't say when they're going to come by. But I just need to have my files there. I need to have a place to put my license on the wall. There's not going to be any traffic. There's not going to be, Dr. Ken, he came by to visit me. It's not going to be any lights. It's not going to be anything. Mainly what I do is wholesale vehicles. And if I retail a vehicle, then it goes down on Riverside Drive on a car lot where somebody can see it. I mean, I know that none of y'all are familiar with where I am, but it's like the only way you'd see it would be on a helicopter. But it also has a buffer strip around the property that we're talking about. It's that's pretty much it in a gist. I mean, it's I'm only open Fridays and 2 hours on Monday, and I'm not really open. What I am is available for the DMV lady to drive by and inspect me. So by putting it here, I can be working on my house, I can be cutting grass, just as long as I'm on the premises to where if she needs to see the records, that I'm there. So it's really not anything much to it. But like I say, I'm here to answer any questions. That's kind of the gist of what it is.
Any other? All right, so thank you. There may be more, but probably one. Well, my concern is, as you know, especially in this forever, and this might be a suitable location with the appropriate conditions for anybody to operate in this stuff. But I would feel more comfortable if we, through the conditions, came up with a type of sundown clause, so that you could go away. Company no longer operates this board, perhaps maybe that's unreasonable. I mean, that's just a thought. Do you think we need to include some type of sundown condition on this permit, or are we ready to issue a special use permit for a automotive sales lot at this location?
Personally, I can't imagine anybody would put a car lot where it's going to.
Yeah, I don't think Carbacks is going to get in touch with me to come down.
So I'm not so sure where that would really benefit anything. I mean, I don't think Mr. Compton's going to have an issue with that, but at the same time, I'm not sure the benefit of it. Given this location, it is at the end, as you know, of a gravel dirt road that's been that way, I know, for ever.
The house was built in 1862, so.
And so it's not likely not to change with the finances of VDOT anytime soon. And so.
And it's not even a VDOT road.
It's not, it's a private road. And so,
There are several other.
all houses on it,
Well,
yeah.
nice.
But I really don't think that's going to be an issue.
Anybody else have an opinion on that? Well, what are the other adverse effects that we might need to address here? Maintain the DMV license.
Absolutely.
But if they give up the license, they abandon the license, then the special use permit terminate that one. And no vehicles there, so there's no reason to limit the number of vehicles.
Again, it's if they're throughout the driveway. Go to place my wife enjoy right now, looking at the old house.
Oh, you can?
She won't get off yet.
Okay.
She won't get out and go to her.
Just think you work with the DMV, that's right.
That's right. We're kind of bad. That's the GMBA.
Well, how about maintaining the license? We need to put a condition on that. Probably because the
DMV will take care of that.
I know, but the special use permit would survive.
The permit revolves around that issue. I think might not be a bad idea.
So, Mr. Compton, would you accept that condition? He said that the use will continue as long as you maintain the DMV.
No, that's no problem. You know, it'd either be me or someone in my family. So.
Okay. All right, anything else we need to consider? So, a positive motion, is that what I said?
Yes, sir.
With one condition. So the positive motion would read, whereas J.D. Company has petitioned the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use permit for sale, service, and repair of automobiles, trucks, recreational vehicles, and motorcycles. And whereas we find no substantial detriment to adjacent property, the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, that said use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance. I move the special use permit be granted with the following condition.
Mr. Compton mentioned him or his son. How would we, did I hear that correctly?
Yes, sir. You know, if I pass away, which we all are, you know, he may want to continue to do what I do, or it may not be my son. I mean, I have 4 children, so
I guess what I'm wondering is if
they would keep going with the DMV.
we use J.D. Compton or immediate family, would that be?
Yeah, that.
Well, as long as it's a permit,
Well, that's a good point. I guess because.
It don't matter who's on the permit.
Right.
Live on without you.
Right. Well, I mean, whoever, you know, you've put in there that it would require a DMV license. So whoever would have a DMV license. So, you know, like you said, the DMV is definitely going to regulate it. I mean, you know, I don't think of anything.
I didn't want something to happen and all of a sudden it not get to keep going if that was your wishes for it.
Right. Well,
It's easy one month.
I've got to make provisions for that, and I've talked to the DMV inspector about it, and she said it would probably be good for me to put my son on it. I haven't talked to him that much about it, so I don't know if he even wants to be on it, but one of my children might want to be on it. I don't know. Thank you.
And how long does it take, let's say that you had that it was necessary to transfer it to your son? So the days, weeks, months?
Well, it works like this. I think it works like this. What me and the DMV talked about was my son being part owner and I being part owner. So then if I decease, then nothing takes place. Mr. Yeamer just carried it over to his son, so he knows how this works,
Yeah,
but,
you just switch it to owner operator.
So it stays in force.
Yeah.
right, that's right, owner operator, that's right.
So
He,
the condition read, the special use permit shall terminate when the D&D license is lost for a period of 90 days.
right, that's fine. I mean, because it won't be lost if somebody wants to carry on, you know.
They would do that.
Right.
And then if somebody wanted to, they got to come back and get another special use.
Yeah, that's right. If somebody wanted to do that, yes.
I'll
So
make
that's
it.
the only, yes, sir.
I'll make it.
Well, you make a motion. Okay. All right, so we have a motion as read, a condition that the special use permit shall terminate when the D&D license is lost for a period of greater than 90 days. Is that the motion?
Yes, sir.
The second? Yes. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor, signify by aye. Okay, thank you. And thanks for coming out yet again.